It's another fun night of NBA basketball as the Cleveland Cavaliers finally show up against the Indiana Pacers, beating them by 22 points, and the Denver Nuggets dominate in overtime against the OKC Thunder. We're going to talk about it all and more in today's Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On NBA Game Night, where it's every game, every night. I'm Haize, host of Locked On Bulls. I am joined by one of the hosts of Locked On Nuggets. Swipa is in the building. This was a fun night of basketball, as every really playoff night has been. The Cleveland Cavaliers were the first game tonight, Swipa. They ended up beating the Indiana Pacers 126-104. There was several runs in the first quarter of this game. This first quarter ends with both teams tied 32-32. And then the Cleveland Cavaliers in the second quarter, the first half, with a 30-9 run, and the Pacers just never get back into this game. You get another 40-point night from Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland, Hunter, and Evan Mobley make their returns in this game. Evan Mobley is hugely important on both sides of the ball in this game, as he has an 18-point, 13-rebound night. How'd you feel about this game, Swipe?
Welcome back, Darius Garland. Welcome back, Evan Mobley. Welcome back, Jared Allen. Welcome back, Cleveland Cavaliers. Look, I thought this was going to be a 7-game series, Haize, when everybody was healthy. I did not, and I repeat, did not want to see Indiana get by another playoff opponent, even though I've been big on Indiana all year. I didn't want to see them play another playoff team the whole series, and they wouldn't be healthy. But you want to talk about an absolute showing from Donovan Mitchell in back-to-back games. Donovan Mitchell has found something in this series so far. 29 shots today for 43 points. He was a plus 35 today. Got up 13 threes. Haize, he is so utterly dynamic when he tries to get to the rim. His slashing ability, again, we've all seen it before. We've all been watching him do this since the 2017 draft, when he got drafted, by the way, by the Denver Nuggets and then promptly traded to the Utah Jazz. We've seen him do this since the bubble. D-Mitch is a different kind of dude, man, and I love when he gets it up here that he needs to be big for his team. He becomes one of the best playoff scorers, especially among the guards in the NBA. So just a truly great game for him and how he was able to perform. But, man, I'm not going to lie to you. It was so good, Haize, seeing Darius Garland get back in action, because even though the shooting wasn't there, you can just feel the offense. It feels different. The passing, the opportunities that are now there and available because Darius Garland's on the court. I thought he played well, given that this is his first game back. Jared Allen was a force on the interior today, and him and Evan Mobley, the shot blocking dynamic that both of them add to this team and what they create around the rim on the offensive side of the ball. You get 18 and 13 from Evan, and then you get 19 and 12 from Jared Allen. All the way around, man. I'm just really glad the Cleveland Cavaliers have a chance to get back into the series for real.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and they needed, this was a game where they absolutely needed. You had to come out with that energy, and I think that desperation is why you saw all three players return, that they knew that they needed to be on the court, even if they are only 80%. They needed all of them on the court today, and that was the balance. Darius Garland doesn't even score the best, but just having him out there as a threat to open up the floor a little bit more, that was needed for this team. And I already talked about Evan Mobley and his two-way play. He's plus 26 in this game. But let's flip it and talk a little bit about the Pacers, because while we had big performances on the Cleveland Cavaliers side, Tyrese Halliburton, who has been so big in this series, and since he got that label of the most overrated player, this was a bad game from him. 2 of 8, only 4 points, 5 assists. Is Tyrese Halliburton going to play this bad again in this series? It's got to be the bottom of the barrel, as bad as he can play, right?
Well, Haize, you've been watching Hallie all year.
Yeah.
When Hallie gets into these non-aggressive modes, he is such a worse player, and his team is worse for it. It's almost like sometimes Hallie forgets how good he is, and he just really settles. Now, again, the game, it kind of started getting out of wax early-ish, and so I understand that he was kind of out of process a little bit. But again, Hallie is just too good as a player for him to just continue to resign himself. Like, even in the second half, he played 13 minutes, got 2 shots up.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not Haize. Haize, your team needs you to do more than that. I expect him to be bigger next game, but I also want to credit Cleveland. Cleveland, they upped the pressure on Haize today.
Absolutely.
And they just did not want him to get free and easy looks around the perimeter. They didn't want him passing the ball everywhere. They tried to cut off the drives as much as possible, and they did a really good job. But to be fair, Haize, when you have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, that's obviously going to make life much more difficult for Haize as well.
That's for sure. Let's go to Tony East, host of Locked On Pacers. Let's get his thoughts on this game.
Yeah, it was 126, Pacers 104, the final here in the Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Tony East with Locked On Pacers. That is the ugliest playoff game for the Pacers this year so far. Not a lot of fights. It was a kind of a story. Post-game, they talked about rebounding being an issue. Their slow start was an issue. They loathed their lack of ability to get 50-50 balls. A lot went wrong. The slow start for the Pacers was crushing. Their second quarter was terrible. The possession battle, I think, was the story of the game. 20 more shot attempts for the Cavs, despite a very even turnover and free throw attempt game, and that led to a ton more shot attempts for Cleveland. For an offense like that, you just can't give them more shot attempts. The Pacers actually shot a better percentage from the field than Cleveland, but the imbalance in attempts just made the Cavs roll right through this one. It's now 2-1 Pacers, who will take being up 2-1 through 3 games, but certainly feels like they're on the back foot now. They're going to have to find some adjustments against a zone defense that gave them challenges. They're going to have to get Tyrese Haliburton going, and so much more in Game 4. Much more on Locked On Pacers.
The rebounding discrepancies is a major one to point out in this game. The Pacers only have 37 rebounds in this game. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen alone have 25. The Cavs finished with 56 rebounds, so almost a 20 rebound advantage over the Indiana Pacers. Is that something to look? Is that just a one-off, or is that something that the Pacers really have to look out for, being the story of the series now that the Cavs have both their bigs back?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to look out for. I don't know if that's going to end up changing the series and the outcome. Because, again, the Pacers still have advantages here in this series. But, again, Cleveland's also really good. And one of the things that needs to be included here, Haize, Darius Garland being back in the roster, it also takes pressure off Ty Jerome. That was probably, honestly, one of the biggest things about the series that I think hadn't been discussed a lot. When Ty Jerome is having to be the primary ball handler next to Donovan Mitchell, he has to slot into a role that I don't think in a playoff is as good for him, especially, again, playing against Nembhard, Neesmith, Pascal, and then you got Miles Turner. Haize also offers some defensive versatility on the perimeter at times. I think him being able to scale back, and then for Darius Garland to have that responsibility to back, I think that's going to continue to help Ty Jerome. Not today. No, I'm not talking about this game. But Ty Jerome to be able to step back into the series as time goes on. He can just kind of go back to being that role player off the bench that we kind of fell in love with this regular season. But again, that's what makes Cleveland so dangerous, is if they do continue to find success guarding Haize, and Haize in particular, when you blitz Haize, you can put a lot of pressure on the ball on him. And again, if he resigns to what the defense is giving him and he lacks that aggression, it completely changes the Pacers' ceiling. So they do have to worry about that. But more, I think that's going to be on Haize and how he's processing the game.
Great points. Let's go over to Danny Cunningham, the host of Locked On Cavs, and see how he feels about this game.
Danny Cunningham here at Gamebridge Fieldhouse after the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Indiana Pacers 126-104 in game number 3 to make it a 2-1 series. Let's talk about this one for 94 feet. Donovan Mitchell was a superstar again. He had 43 points in game 3, coming off a 48-point performance in game number 2, helped carry the Cavs to a win to make this a 2-1 series. The Cavs got healthier. Darius Garland back, Evan Mobley back, DeAndre Hunter back. I thought Mobley was the most impactful of that group. The Cavs played a 3-2 zone tonight, which is not something we've seen from them. We've seen them play a lot of zone this year, but not this zone in particular. And they held Indiana to 13 points in the second quarter. That's when the game really broke open. Pacers made a run in the fourth. They cut it down to 11. Donovan Mitchell hits a turnaround. Donovan Mitchell hits a three-pointer. Donovan Mitchell finds Max Strus, who had 20 points, for a three-pointer on the wing. Lead back up to 17. Cavs never have to sweat again. So now, game 4, Sunday, they have a chance to tie things up. I'll talk to you after that.
How important is it that the Cavs, before we get out of this segment, that the Cavs win game 4?
I mean, you don't want to go down 3-1. I think that's a lot of work to have to go down 3-1 and then have to play maybe the Knicks, I guess, in the next round or something like that. So, yeah, you don't want to do that. I didn't realize Max Strus had that kind of a dunk in his bag, by the way, that I just watched in the third quarter. if they don't go down 3-1. But I also think this team is talented enough that if they find rhythm, they could win this series 3 straight and 7 as well.
Sure. We'll see what happens. The Cavs now made this one interesting. They're going to have everybody hopefully now throughout the rest of the series. Hopefully Tyrese Halliburton plays better as well because he has to get out of that rut. But we're going to continue the conversation going about the playoffs, which we talk about the Nuggets and how they pull away in overtime in that game. But first, we got to get to a message from DoorDash. NBA fans, it's playoff season, and DoorDash is turning big-time buckets into big-time bites. With Dash Pass, you can cash in when the stars show out. It's called They Swoosh, You Score. Any type of player drops 50-plus points in a playoff game, Dash Pass members score a free 3-piece crispy tender combo from Wingstop the next day. Just place a $20-plus order and use code WINGSTOP50, and you're eating good. Offer valid from noon to midnight next day. Terms do apply. My go-to after a big game, wings and highlight reel playlists. This deal just makes it sweeter. Dash Pass means $0 delivery fees, perks like this, and savings all postseason long. Don't miss out. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready the next time someone drops 50. That's Dash Pass. Your door to more flavor, more savings, and more ways to win. Well, Locked On Game Night coming up next. All right. Guess you guys are going on to LockedOnDaily.com as well to support your favorite Locked On podcast. But Swiper, let's get into this. This is your team, the Denver Nuggets, in this game. And I'm not going to lie to you. Down the stretch of this game, I was getting a little bit worried for the Nuggets. Aaron Gordon hits a big three. And then it's like once overtime kicked in, the Nuggets smelled blood in the water. And they just blitzed the OKC Thunder, winning that overtime period 11-2 to win the game. How'd you feel about this game?
Look, man, I can't say enough about Michael Porter Jr., about Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, and Jamal Murray played incredible defense down the stretch of the fourth quarter and in overtime on SGA and on J-Dub. They just rose to a level today with the best player in the world. I think having an absolute stinker. Jokic just didn't look like himself at all scoring the basketball. He was missing bunnies, layups, like the floaters that he just patently hits. He just wasn't. He had a basket interference possession today on a layup that he just smoked that was rimming out. He was 8 of 25 from the field today. Now he had 20 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists. He did have 2 blocks and 2 steals, so he did stay active. But it was just one of those games with Jokic that's like he just wasn't good and he was struggling. But Haize, Jamal Murray put the team on his back. 27 points, 8 assists, 4 steals today for Jamal Murray, Haize, and he was attacking. Yeah, I said that. Attacking Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren, Alex Caruso, J-Dub. He was attacking them, trying to get them in the paint to shoot over the top from mid-range, from 3. He was an absolute monster today. But this story cannot be told without Aaron Gordon hitting yet another clutch 3, where this time, with 28 seconds left in the game, he makes a left corner 3 off on the move, I might add, on the move, off ball, and he makes a 3 to tie the game up at 102, including playing incredible defense on J-Dub down the stretch of the game. And then Michael Porter Jr., after not having 2 good games in the first 2 games, he had 21 points on a 95 true shooting, 8 rebounds, and he was also 5 of 6 from 3, including hitting just some absolutely tough over-the-top threes on J-Dub, and then he got fouled going to the rim by Alex Caruso. Overall, Russell Westbrook had some really important minutes in this game. Peyton Watson had some huge blocks off the bench. The Nuggets have a big 6 with the starters, including Russ, but really they have found something with this 7th man in Peyton Watson. He's really, truly growing into something so far in this playoffs. But Haize, despite the fact that Jokic has his worst playoff shooting game ever, the Nuggets are up 2-1 with an opportunity to go up 3-1 versus a 68-win OKC Thunder team in a game at home on Sunday. So this win, I cannot stress it enough, not only the most important win of the year, but this win could put them in prime position to make the Western Conference Finals for the second time in the last 3 years.
Wow. I mean, yeah, and I know we're only 2 games into the series, but I mean 3 games into the series, but the way that Denver played today, if they can come out and you get a better performance from Jokic in Game 4 and go up 3-1 against OKC Thunder, that's crazy. And I love how you pointed out about Aaron Gordon too. Like quietly, all quiet kept. Aaron Gordon turned into a 43% 3-point shooter over the course of this season.
Mm-hmm.
That provides so much for this for this Nuggets team, because even though he's not technically a true 3-level scorer, you almost have to guard him as a 3-level scorer when he's hitting the 3 ball at that rate and at that percentage. And that's been huge for this team overall. Let me ask you this question. How important do you think it is for the Denver Nuggets to try to get this series done as quick as possible? They only go 3 deep into their bench. That's it. They play the same 8 guys rotation pretty consistently. We know that OKC Thunder, they go 4, 5 consistently into their bench. Do you think that could become something over the series, that if the series does go 6, 7 games, where maybe the bench or maybe the Nuggets just run out of gas because of how much they don't go as deep into their bench?
Well, that's the thing. They did this when they won the title too. Like they had
True.
8-man people they ran. Bruce Brown, Christian Brown, and Jeff Green. That was their 8-man rotation with the starters. So honestly, it just is what it is. Hey, it's like they don't have the deepest team in the NBA. They don't have like Aaron Wiggins and Wallace and Caruso or Kendrick Williams. Kendrick Williams would be playing for Denver right now. He hasn't touched the floor in the playoffs so far for OKC. The Nuggets don't have the ability. And even Michael Porter Jr., he even reported today that when he originally hurt his shoulder, apparently the team doctor said this is a 4 to 6 week recovery. So if this was the regular season, Porter would have been sitting out for over a month to recover from this. But that's what the Nuggets are. And if anything I can say about the Nuggets, Haize, they do not get small. They might lose, but they don't go small. And for them to fight as hard as they are, especially with the fact that AG's been dealing with a calf injury all year, and then MPJ's been dealing with the injury to the shoulder, and then he had a lower body injury earlier this year. Jamal Murray is honestly, in the first 2 rounds, he might be playing versus the best POA defense in the world versus the Clippers and now versus OKC, and he's still showing out. So honestly, Haize, I think they just deserve a ton of credit for fighting no matter the circumstances.
Absolutely. The fight that this team is played with. I get that Game 2, the Thunder came out with that desperation that was needed, but like the Nuggets have been so consistent throughout the series and just going about their business for sure. The Thunder, to flip it and talk about that with them, like a 7 of 22 night from SGA. That's you need more than that. I understand you got 32 points from Jalen Williams, who played consistently throughout this game, and he stepped up, and that's the point of having the depth that they have on this team. But SGA is going to have to be better, because if you go down 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets team that most of their core has been here before, they've done it before, they've gone on these playoff runs before. I get that you had a great regular season, but we've seen regular season after regular season team just not have what it takes to really go as far as people predicted them coming into a postseason. And the Thunder are at a real, have a real possibility here to get out in five games in the series if you keep allowing the Nuggets to play the way they have been.
Yeah, SGA, he's an interesting player. He had I think a fine Game 1. The numbers I think were better than what he played. Game 2, he was spectacular, but also they didn't have any pressure on them. He was 11 of 13 from the field. He was 11-11 from the free throw line. The Nuggets were out of whack. But today, I think he started the game off like slow, but you felt like he was going to get it kicked into gear. But look, somebody also noted this. It might have been the mile high altitude as well, because he looked gassed. His legs looked gassed. He couldn't drive the way he was to start the game off. Even on a step back 3 he had, it just looked really short and almost as if he was just, I don't have the energy or the legs to get by Christian Brown or Aaron Gordon. And so I'm just going to take this step back, and he just didn't make it. And again, I got to give credit, man. The Christian Brown, like he's adjusting the SGA. They held him to 5 free throws today. And for SGA to be as skilled in being able to draw contact like he is, for Christian Brown and Jamal Murray in the fourth quarter and overtime, and Aaron Gordon to be able to stay in front of him, to deal with him like that, they deserve all the credit. But really, J-Dub was scary this game. Again, if you didn't watch this game, go back and watch J-Dub, y'all. He was incredible. He had today, he had 32 points on 11 to 22, 3 of 7 from 3. But dude, he was a -11. But again, a lot of that's because of overtime, as you said. The Nuggets won overtime. What was it, 11-2?
11-2.
J-Dub was hitting some crazy shots, and honestly, he probably should have got the ball more down the stretch. But at that point, it's like, do you not trust like the MVP on your team, if because he's done this all year, or do you give the ball to J-Dub when he's hot? But again, that's the thing about the Jokic Murray 2-man game, because once they get in rhythm, Murray starts making shots, Jokic started making shots, and now the lead goes from 0 all the way to 7, and the game is basically over in overtime.
That's a fact. And the way the Nuggets performed in overtime is exactly what you expect from a team that, like I said, their core has been here. They won a title together. So you expect that from a team in overtime, and they really did give that. Next up, we're going to be discussing the games coming up tomorrow, previewing Saturday night. But first, we got to get into a message from Amazon Fire TV. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? With the Fire TV stick, you can play top Xbox titles, no console required. Just grab your controller, sign to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and dive into games like EA Sports College Football 25 and Call of Duty Black Ops 6. It's gaming made simple. With Wi-Fi 6 support and auto low latency mode, gameplay is smooth and responsive, perfect for competitive players. And if you're always on the go, Fire Stick TV 4K is way more portable than a console, so you can have game or stream wherever you want. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. NBA, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select Fire TV devices. Turn your TV into your gaming hub with Fire TV. More Locked On Game Night coming up next. All right. Looking at the games tomorrow, Swiper, let's start off. Which one are you which one of these games tomorrow night are you most excited about?
Man, that's a tough question. I feel like there's so many different scenarios that can play themselves out. Boston, New York is going to be interesting because New York hasn't been as good in New York. And I feel like everybody wants to play in the Big Apple. Jason Tatum needs a bounce back game. Al Horford, Jaylen Brown's not been good. KP's been dealing with this mysterious sickness and also not been great for most of the playoffs. And then on top of that, you get Derrick White and Drew Holiday. That New York series, man, it could be special because, hey, let me ask you a counter question. We didn't pick. I don't think either one of us picked the New York Knicks. Not only did not win the series, I had Boston at 5. Wow. You remember what your actual schedule
was? It was Boston 5 for B2.
Okay, if they go up 3-0, now what? What's the story?
I mean, if they go up 3-1, it like, to me, or 3-0, it just becomes about I mean, the Knicks have to be a favorite at that point in time. I don't care how good Boston has been over the series. You go down 3-0, that's it.
3-0 to Jalen Brunson, bro. Like,
that's crazy.
Man, like, and then on top of that, OG Anunoby deserves so much credit. New York Knicks fans, Mikal Bridges, Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, the whole concept of the New York Knicks, they were just like, okay, we're going into worldwide West and all that. We're going to go into this year. We have Brunson, we have Cat, we need defenders. What can we do to make sure we can protect our weakest links? Josh Hart, great two-way player, 6'4". OG, great two-way player, 6'7" and strong. Mikal Bridges, great two-way player, 6'7". Mitchell Robinson, a really, really, really good interior defensive big and who can switch for a little bit at 7 feet tall. They said, let's just put the defenders out there. Let's give them the spacing with Cat and with Brunson. Brunson, you can operate, and they all can shoot, or they can roll with Mitchell Robinson, or you got Cat who can roll or pop. Can we win with that 6-man unit in Deuce McBride? And they've done it. The concept is work. They built this team to have wings to defend the wings from Boston, and Derek, Drew, JB, and JT, and they've done it. So I'm very excited for that because I want New York Knicks fans to feel the momentum for your team in the fourth quarter. 2 minutes left in the game. You got a 3-point lead or you're down 1, and you got the clutch player of the year on your roster with the ball, with the game on the line. I want New York to feel that. That would be such a moment. And for a city that hasn't won a title since 1971, for a city that ain't been to the NBA Finals, Haize, since 1999, and you just think They got a real superstar. They got Cat, who's going to be second team All NBA this year, and a bunch of defenders, Haize. And they go up 3-0 on Boston in New York. Yo, hey, this is the city of dreams, Haize. I want to see it, dog. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to see that. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, man, the storylines write themselves, especially like the fact that it is Boston versus New York as well. Two of the more story franchises in the NBA that hate each other. The fan bases hate each other. It's so many storylines that go into it. But I think the key thing that's been in this that I've been watching, like the fact that Boston has just been settling for threes, like they don't attack in fourth quarters in this game. And I don't know if it's what's going on there, if it is just the perimeter defense of New York or if there's something mental going on there. But Joe Mazzulla has to coach better in this series. He has to step up as a coach and just coach better in this series. And so let's hope that that's the case. But New York Knicks, I'll tell you what, man, I'm not going to bet against them. I've done it before. I'm not going to do it again because there's been something different about them in this playoffs that just wasn't there in the regular season. Everybody's talked about what their record is against the top teams in the league over the course of the season. But Tom Thibodeau, he is out coaching the hell out of Joe Mazzulla in this series. And it's not even close yet. It's not even close. Joe Mazzulla got to catch up.
I mean, but that's the thing. Like, I think I don't want to do the analytics thing because that's like low-hanging fruit. Yeah. Overall, Boston has to get better out of Tatum. They get better out of Tatum. They get better out of Jaylen Brown. They win the game. I think that's going to be the story for Boston. Will they show up? And if it's tight in the fourth quarter again, this is my whole theory, Haize. They've been up 20 in the first two games already.
Yeah. Okay.
So can they maintain a lead? But also, too, if they get in a close game with Boston with the Knicks, do they feel confident they can out-execute the Knicks down the stretch? I don't know if they do. Like, I think Jalen Brunson being on the other side of the ball, I can't be in an NBA player's head, but I would bet at this point, because of how well he's played versus Detroit and versus the Knicks in the clutch, or especially in the fourth quarter, I think Boston feels that pressure. I think Tatum feels that pressure to perform, but he's done it before. Tatum has a 51-point game in a win over the 76ers in 2023 in Game 7. Tatum had that 46-piece in Milwaukee in Game 6 in 2022. Tatum had a 50 ball with no JB versus the Miami Heat, or not the Miami Heat. I can't remember what series that was in the first round. Tatum can do it, but it's just going to be about, can he find the momentum to be able to hit shots, take good shots in the fourth quarter and get the job done? I think him and JB can get it done. I think it's going to be another close game in New York. Money on the line, Tatum, JB versus Jaylen Brown.
We shall see. We shall see. The other game going on tomorrow, which is going to be a very fun game itself, is the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Golden State Warriors. This is a series where, of course, Steph is going to be out at least until Game 6. He may even be out past then. This is the opportunity for the Minnesota Timberwolves to really continue to put a stamp on this series. Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy hasn't shown up yet. I think there was this common thought that playoff Jimmy was gonna show up now that Steph's down. We haven't seen it. The last two wins by the Golden State Warriors, both in the Game 7 against the Rockets and the first game against this Minnesota Timberwolves team, really has come down to Buddy Hield variance. That's been the biggest thing for them, is that how well Buddy Hield plays. He didn't play well in Game 2. Jimmy and I think and Buddy combined for like 30 points. You're going to need more from them than that. We already seen Draymond Green. He's starting to turn into a head case again. How do you feel about this game, and how important is this game in this series overall, considering Steph's out?
Well, I think they got to get one of the two.
Okay.
Because now some people believe Steph can come back. A grade 1 hamstring injury, I truly don't know, Haize. That makes me very worried. I don't know, like, could you typically that's 1 to 2 weeks and then an evaluation to see if they can play? We're saying 1 week and Steph is back and he's good enough to play and play a whole NBA game at normal speed. I'm concerned about that. So Jimmy Butler, Brandon Podziemski, Draymond Green, Buddy Hield, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, who had a really good game last game. You're going to need all those guys. Kevin Looney, if he plays, you're going to need all of them to step up. Gary Payton II, you're going to need all of them to step up, because without Steph Curry, your offense is going to be ran different. Jimmy Butler can have to carry a much larger scoring load. But also, I think, too, like Podziemski, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Buddy Hield, this is a part of the job. Like, your captain is out. You can find ways to beat this team, because the thing is, Minnesota is having a tough time scoring on Golden State, and it's been struggling in this series because Golden State's defense is built in particular for guards like that. So Minnesota, they better bring it too, because if you're telling me they go up 2-1 now, Well, now like we're giving more leeway for Steph to be able to come back, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but in game 2, so Jeff, based on Friday, if this gets pushed to a game 6, I want to say, because of the amount of days off in between, I want to say it's like a 12-day layoff from injury to return in game 6. That would be huge. And Steph Curry basically would almost guarantee be back possibly in a situation like that. So you want to make sure if you're Minnesota get a win, that way you can kind of put this to bed. You ain't got to worry about Steph Curry coming back.
Yeah, and that's what they need to do. They have to get wins here if they want to get back in this game. Like, if they can be close enough, right? I even say if you're 2-3 and Steph comes back, with the energy that he's played, with the way that he can shoot, you're still in this series, right? So you want to win as many games as possible, clearly, in the playoff series. But the Minnesota Timberwolves cannot afford to let this. That's why I say this is important for them to knock out these next 2 games. I think you want to go up 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors. That way, if Steph even is able to come back in game 6, then you give yourself a game buffer there. And Ant hasn't played the best yet. He had an injury himself last game. He was able to come back with, so he hasn't played. We know that he can go into another gear. And I can't wait to see it, because Ant throughout this season has really stepped up as a leader and the alpha, as he labels it. But he's also been able to know when to defer. Julius Randle has played really good throughout in this playoffs more times than not. So you're going to need both those guys. If they come out and frustrated, we've already seen Draymond start to get frustrated. The series has barely even begun. If you can get Draymond to do Draymond things and crash out like we know he's able to, I can see this come crumbling down for the Golden State Warriors. But the Timberwolves got to keep their foot on their neck for sure.
For sure. Yeah, it's exciting. Honestly, both of those games are going to be really big.
For sure. We'll see, man. Anything left, Swipe, before we get up out of here, man?
Man, just a skin in the teeth win by the Nuggets. The Pacers Cavs series, that's probably going to be 2-2. Like I said, a 7-game series. I think 2 7-game series. OKC Denver, Cavs, Pacers. Man, got a lot of really good basketball games coming up.
Absolutely. And we'll be here every Friday night to recap what goes on. Matter of fact, if you like what you heard today, make sure you guys subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get your podcasts. And on the same feed, you get Locked On Daily Show as well as Game Night. So make sure you guys stay in tune for that one. Thanks for Swiper for showing up, man, and giving the analysis, because Swiper's amazing, man. So make sure you guys stay in tune and follow him over on Locked On Nuggets as well. We'll catch you guys on Friday. Peace, y'all.
Man, it's only 2